Hi, and welcome to the Early Retirement Roadmap Podcast, the show where I help you prepare for and design a life you love after work. I'm Mike Upland, an early retiree at age 55. Have you ever thought a lot about early retirement, and maybe you've even crunched the numbers and concluded that you could do it, but yet felt a wave of fear holding you back? If so, you're not alone. Retirement can be one of the most exciting milestones in life, but it can also feel daunting. Today, we're going to tackle those fears head on and discover how to turn retirement into a new chapter of growth and fulfillment. Before we dive in, let me be clear that what I'm sharing today is based on my personal experience and research. While I'm excited to share these insights with you, this is for educational purposes only. Everyone's situation is unique, so be sure to consult with qualified financial, tax, and legal professionals before making any investment or retirement decisions. Back to our topic. The most common fear is, will I run out of money? It's a valid concern. People are living longer than ever, and retirement can span 20, 30, or even 40 years. That's a long time to rely on savings and investments. But instead of letting this fear paralyze you, there are tools and strategies to help. One of the most effective is something called a Monte Carlo simulation. A Monte Carlo simulation tests your portfolio against at least 1,000 potential market scenarios, including events like the Great Depression and the 2008 financial crisis. It helps answer critical questions. For example, what if the market takes a nosedive shortly after I retire? By simulating these scenarios, you can see how your savings holds up under both average and worst-case conditions. But what makes this tool so valuable is that it gives you a predicted outcome of success. It calculates the likelihood that your retirement savings will last based on your spending plan, market conditions, and your longevity. If you're wondering how to run a Monte Carlo simulation, it's simpler than you might think. There are online tools available that offer this feature. For example, boredom.com, formerly newretirement.com, has a robust Monte Carlo simulation tool with its paid plan. Empower, formerly known as Personal Capital, is free and offers Monte Carlo simulations as well. I personally use boredom.com and used it to both plan my early retirement and for also my continued financial planning in retirement. And it gave me the confidence to know I would succeed in early retirement and not run out of money. What I loved about it is it allowed me to stress test my portfolio under a variety of different what-if scenarios. So I was able to find out if I was fine in the absolute worst-case scenarios. So knowing that, it pretty much got rid of my fear about running out of money. Empower also allows you to run Monte Carlo simulations against different scenarios as well. I've put links to these two tools in the show notes, as well as a helpful article about the best retirement planners available, so you can check out additional ones too. When using these tools, you'll input details about your portfolio, expected spending, and any other income sources like Social Security or pensions. The simulation will then generate at least 1,000 of hypothetical scenarios and give you a success rate. Essentially, the percentage of scenarios where your portfolio remains solvent throughout your retirement. So, what success rate should you aim for? Certified financial planners or CFPs typically target a 75 to 90% success rate in Monte Carlo simulations, with 80 to 85% being a common benchmark, and here's why. The 80 to 85% target represents a balance between several key factors. It provides a safety margin. It provides a reasonable cushion against adverse market conditions while acknowledging that no plan can guarantee 100% success. And for practicality, targeting a higher success rate like 95 to 99% would require much larger savings, significantly reduced withdrawal rates, and more conservative investment allocations. These requirements could make retirement plans unnecessarily restrictive and force clients to sacrifice too much of their current quality of life. It's also worth noting that many financial advisors use Monte Carlo simulations as part of their comprehensive planning services. If you're not comfortable running the simulation yourself, consider consulting a professional. They can not only guide you through the process, but also help interpret the results and adjust your plan to improve your success rate. For example, they might suggest reducing your initial withdrawal rate, delaying Social Security, or tweaking your asset allocation to increase the likelihood of long-term success. The real value of a Monte Carlo simulation goes beyond the numbers. It provides clarity and confidence. It helps you understand how different scenarios might play out and equips you with a plan to handle whatever comes your way. Without this clarity, it's easy to fall into the trap of delaying retirement indefinitely, driven by fear of the unknown. But then you're missing out on the freedom you can have in retirement, so it's well worth the effort to work on this. What I did is I used boredom.com to plan for early retirement and stress tested my portfolio against different scenarios to see my probability of success. However, I still met with my financial planner to validate my numbers to be sure. It is always a good idea to check your plan against a professional, and I was over the moon when my financial advisor confirmed everything I was seeing in boredom.com and agreed that yes, indeed, there is no issue with me retiring early. But that extra validation from a professional further increased my confidence enough so that I took the leap and announced my retirement shortly thereafter. Now let's talk about healthcare costs. This is another huge fear. How will you afford healthcare before Medicare kicks in? What if you have unexpected medical expenses? This is where planning becomes essential. Research your options and explore subsidies through programs like the Affordable Care Act. The key is to understand your options and budget accordingly. Check out my last podcast titled Health Insurance Options in Retirement: What You Need to Know, where I addressed this topic and went over all the healthcare options available in early retirement in detail. Listen to it, and I think you'll learn that it doesn't have to be a barrier to early retirement. Another thing you can do financially prior to early retirement is just simply paying off any debt. Not having any debt is one of the most freeing things you can do before retirement. Even if you have a low-interest mortgage, the psychological relief of being debt-free can't be overstated. It gives you more flexibility and peace of mind as you transition into retirement. Start by tackling high-interest debts like credit cards and then just work your way down. Now, financial fears are just one part of the equation. Let's talk about the non-financial fears that can be just as challenging, if not more so. First up, what will I do with my time? Many people worry about boredom in retirement. The idea of not having a structured routine can feel unsettling. But here's the thing. Boredom is a choice. It's not a condition. Retirement is an opportunity to rediscover passions, hobbies, and even new careers. I've heard stories of retirees who took up everything from woodworking to writing novels to even starting a small business. The point is to take on things that you love to do and fill your days with that. And if they generate a bit of income, even better, as it's less you have to draw down on your savings. And that's what retirement is all about: freedom. I can tell you there has not been one day since I retired that I've been bored. Maybe think about finding a side hustle which can provide both financial and emotional benefits. And it doesn't have to be something grand. It could be as simple as freelance writing, teaching music lessons, or selling handmade goods. These activities not only generate income, but also give you a sense of purpose and accomplishment. Also, creating a daily routine is important. Without the structure of a job, it's easy to fall into a pattern of aimlessness. Plan your days intentionally. Schedule time for exercises, hobbies, and side hustles you may be doing, social activities, and of course, relaxation. A well-structured day can make all the difference in maintaining a sense of purpose and fulfillment and not being bored. Another big fear is the loss of identity. For years, you've likely introduced yourself by your profession. I'm a teacher, I'm an engineer, or I'm a doctor. Losing that identity can feel like losing a part of yourself. But here's the good news. Your career is just one facet of who you are. Think about all the other roles you play in life: parent, friend, mentor, adventurer. When you focus on these roles, you'll see that your identity is so much richer than just your job title. And don't forget, those skills you acquired in your job can be valuable when you pursue things you love in retirement. Your skills don't disappear when you retire. They evolve and open new doors to new opportunities. And then there's the fear of losing your paycheck. Now, it's true, there's something reassuring about that regular deposit hitting your bank account. But instead of focusing on what you're losing, think about what you're gaining: freedom, flexibility, and control over your time. Retirement gives you the chance to step off the treadmill and design a life that aligns with your values and priorities. Many people approach retirement with the mindset of leaving something behind: a job, a career, a paycheck. But what if you flip that mindset and focused on what you're moving toward? What new adventures await you? What passions have you put on hold? Retirement is your chance to finally prioritize those things. Shift your mindset from retiring from something to retiring to something. It makes all the difference in the world. Let's also talk about the fear of social isolation. Many of us don't realize how much of our social interaction comes from work until we leave it behind. This is why it's so important to build a community in retirement. Join clubs, volunteer, take classes, or even start a social group. Staying connected is crucial for both mental and emotional health. Another significant fear that many early retirees face is dealing with judgment from family and friends. You might hear things like, "You're too young to retire." And the most common, of course, is, "Won't you be bored?" Or even, "That's pretty selfish of you." I've experienced all of these firsthand, but here's what I learned. Most of this judgment comes from people's own fears and misconceptions about retirement. They might be projecting their own financial insecurities or struggling with the idea that there's more to life than work. The key is to remember that you don't need to justify your carefully planned financial decisions to anyone. If you've done your homework, run the numbers, and know you're ready, that's all that matters. It can help to have a few brief positive responses ready, like, "I've carefully planned for this," or "I'm looking forward to pursuing new projects," to counter the responses you will receive. The comment you may receive about being too young to retire is also a common fear to early retirement. Maybe you're worried about being the only one among your friends who's retired, or feeling out of place at traditional retirement activities. But here's the thing, the concept of retirement is evolving. More and more people are retiring early, and the traditional retirement age of 65 is really becoming less relevant. Being a younger retiree actually gives you some unique advantages. You likely have more energy and better health to pursue active hobbies and travel. You have time to start a second act or encore career at a more relaxed pace and do what you love. You can be more involved in your children's or grandchildren's lives, and you have the opportunity to build a retirement lifestyle that's truly your own. I found that being a younger retiree opens up interesting conversations and connections. You might even inspire others to think differently about their own retirement plans. Instead of feeling out of place, think of yourself as part of a growing movement of people who are redefining what retirement looks like. The key is to find your tribe. Look for local early retirement meetup groups, join online communities, or start your own social group. You might be surprised how many other early retirees are in your area looking for connection. And remember, retiring early doesn't mean you have to fit into traditional retirement activities. Create your own path. Maybe that means mixing with retirees for some activities and working professionals for others. The beauty of early retirement is that you get to write your own rules. Finally, a last point I want to mention is to consider the impact of fear on decision-making. Many people delay retirement because it just feels safer to keep working. It's just easier to stick with the familiar than to face the unknown. But here's the thing, time is your most valuable resource. Every year you delay retirement is a year of freedom and opportunity you'll never get back. Think about the experiences you want to have while you're still healthy and active. Consider this, if you're 60 years old, how many years of good health do you really have ahead of you? And how do you want to spend those years? Do you want to work for a paycheck, or do you want to explore your passions and build new memories? It's worth asking yourself these really hard questions. Fear is a natural part of any major life change, but it doesn't have to hold you back. With the right planning and mindset, you can overcome these fears and step into a fulfilling, purpose-driven retirement. And it's not about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to take that first step. Retirement isn't the end of something, it's the beginning of a beautiful new chapter. Imagine waking up each day with the freedom to choose how you spend your time. Imagine pursuing passions you've always dreamed of, connecting with loved ones, and discovering new adventures. That's what retirement can be when you face your fears and embrace the possibilities. So, what's holding you back? What fears do you have about retirement, and how are you addressing them? That's all for today's episode of Early Retirement Roadmap. If you found this information helpful, please leave a review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also catch the video version of this content on my YouTube channel, also called Early Retirement Roadmap, as sometimes it's just nice to see the person speaking to you in person. Until next time, this is Mike Upland, reminding you to take care and make the most of today.